our senior reporter, Tim McMahon. Howdy, Tim.
Howdy, Malika.
It just makes my day every time. Let's talk a little bit more about Dallas. Cooper Flagg is finally starting to find his footing within the NBA. And that means that there are some questions about the rest of the roster around him as we march toward the trade deadline. So what are you hearing about who they could be keeping, who they're looking to move on from?
Well, and look, that discussion begins with Anthony Davis, right? The priority is building around Cooper Flagg. Everything has to be viewed through that prism. On Monday, when you took the day off, I mentioned that Anthony Davis's preference is to stay in Dallas and sign an extension this summer. The priority there is the extension, not the preference to stay in Dallas.
Right.
Now, the Mavericks are telling AD and his agent, Rich Paul, that, although Chris is available these days, they're saying, hey, we're open-minded to an extension. You know, a maybe on the extension this summer. Now, Rich Paul's been around the block a few times. Last year, he got De'Aaron Fox put in San Antonio. He got Brandon Ingram put in Toronto. He hears maybe. What does that sound like to Rich Paul? No, it's either a yes now or Rich wants to get AD moved. Atlanta and Toronto are the teams you're hearing about the most as possibilities. The Mavericks are going to talk to a lot of teams. And look, Patrick Dumont, the owner, he would prefer to see AD, Kyrie, and Cooper Flagg together before making any drastic decisions, any major decisions, whether that's trade or extension. That's probably not happening before the trade deadline.
Okay, so there's a lot there. Let's sort through it today. The most important thing you just heard in all of this, I mean, to me, it's that it seems more likely than not that AD is not going to be on the Dallas Mavericks.
I absolutely think so. And Perk, when we mentioned AD staying, why'd you have that reaction?
Because I know Rich Paul. Right? Rich Paul is about his client. Rich Paul is about getting his client the bag. And if the Dallas, like Tim just said, if it's either yes or no, if you're going to commit to a contract extension. And I wouldn't if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, to be honest with you, because Cooper Flagg is everything and more. He's the white version of LeBron James, Mr. Do-It-All. Real talk. We just, minus a little bit of the athleticism, but when you talk about filling up the box score, he does it all. Blocks, rebounds, assists, points, however you want, he's going to give it to you.
So that was actually the comp that I was not really ready for, but I was going to actually, I can see it because you see players that are good with the ball in their hands, maybe not like as natural or fluid as we expected to start the year, but also do so very well downhill. That's where LeBron James owned when he came into the league. He'd get it in transition. He'd just come at your head. And I think that everyone talks about mentality, competitive fire. I like his physicality. Like, he's not afraid to hunt mismatches and be great.
AD's my guy, but this is a tough situation to be a GM in. I would love to give him an extension because he's a great player, but he hasn't been available enough. So I understand both sides of it. AD should find a place where he can be happy. And Dallas looks like they're in the trending direction of going younger and starting over it anyway. So let's just move him along amicably like they're doing with Trae Young in Atlanta and find him a good situation where he can get an extension.
For keeping Kyrie, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
No, it's not. I mean, Jaylen Brown's been on an unbelievable tear, but it's not just him. Got to give a lot of credit to Joe Mazzulla. He's done an unbelievable job of turning that group and that offense to a high-powered offense with a depleted roster. They lost so many guys, empowering guys like Anthony Simons, Hugo Gonzalez, Keita, another big man, Jordan Walsh becoming a 3-and-D guy, a defender, playing, both sides of the ball. But Jaylen Brown, giving Jaylen Brown the reins to do what he wants to do, but they're not just shooting threes and chucking them up. They're coming down, getting a mix of some uncontested threes, but mid-range too, and getting to the basket. They're not just shooting a bunch of threes. So he's done an unbelievable job of getting this group to where they need to be offensively and giving them a chance to be number 2 in the East.
Jaylen Brown is the perfect anomaly within the Celtics three-point system. The Celtics make the most. They're first in made threes, but Jaylen Brown is second in made twos behind, can we guess, y'all, SGA, the MVP, and he's also third in isolation points per game. So those two areas that are missing outside of threes, he has become elite at those aspects, and that's where you get the balance and the harmony. And I like the growth of his game. We actually work out with the same trainer, Jamal Lavelle. Everyone calls him Dash Athletics. Yeah, I mean, major shout out here for what JB's doing. But, like, his dribbling, his reading, but also him knowing that the 2 is still a good shot within Mazzulla's system.
And look, Jaylen Brown is a finals MVP on a Supermax contract, but also a guy who's got a ton to prove. For a lot of his career, he had to listen to, hey, should the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown? Does it fit with Jason Tatum? He still doesn't feel, clearly, that he's appreciated enough. And
you say that because of the Western Conference Player of the Month?
Exactly. But look, the adversity of the Achilles injury to Jason Tatum gave an opportunity to Jaylen Brown to prove just what a star he is.
Yeah.
He has seized that opportunity, and he's put himself in a position where, look, they're the 2 seed in the East. He has to be at least part of the MVP discussion.
Exactly, especially with all of the injuries piling up around the league. You got the 65-game rule in position. Jaylen Brown could find himself.
The Golden State Warriors are officially at a crossroads. And Warriors fans, this is one of those moments where the direction of the franchise can change everything. Let's be honest, there's no sugarcoating it anymore. This team does not look like a championship contender right now. And even Steve Kerr admitted what we've all been seeing with our own eyes. The firepower isn't enough. The margin for error is gone. And in a loaded Western Conference, standing still is the same as falling behind. That's why the rumors linking the Warriors to Anthony Davis are not just noise. They are a reflection of desperation, urgency, and reality. The front office knows the clock is ticking. Stephen Curry is still elite. He's still capable of leading a title run, but the window is no longer wide open. It's narrowing fast, and every season that passes without a bold move is a season wasted. According to reports from The Athletic, there is a real possibility, not a fantasy, not just talk show drama, that the Warriors have discussed an Anthony Davis trade with the Dallas Mavericks. The door, as sources put it, is not completely closed. That alone tells you everything you need to know about where Golden State is mentally right now. This team is searching for a lifeline. They're searching for size, defense, rim protection, and a second star who can truly shift the balance in the playoffs. Anthony Davis, when healthy, changes everything. He's one of the few players in the league who can dominate both ends of the floor without needing the ball constantly. He protects the rim, he alters shots, he rebounds, he gives you a vertical threat that this roster simply does not have. And most importantly, he takes pressure off Steph Curry in ways no current Warrior can. Imagine Curry running free without carrying the entire offensive burden. Imagine defenses having to choose between collapsing on Davis inside or staying glued to the shooters on the perimeter. That's not theory, that's championship basketball. Now, yes, the risk is obvious. Anthony Davis has struggled to stay on the floor throughout his career. Injuries are part of the conversation whether fans like it or not. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Playing it safe has already failed. Being cautious hasn't moved the needle. Waiting for internal growth hasn't worked. This team is hovering around 500, fighting for positioning instead of imposing its will. The Warriors do not owe the future more than they owe Stephen Curry. And that's where the hard decisions come in. Reports make it clear that Golden State has been strongly opposed to trading either Draymond Green or Jimmy Butler. Financially, that's the problem. There is no realistic path to landing Anthony Davis without moving one of those veterans. Something has to give. You can't add a superstar without sending one out. That's the reality of the NBA. Let's talk honestly about Draymond Green. This is a franchise legend, a heart and soul player, a defensive anchor during the dynasty years. But at this stage of his career, the impact does not consistently match the chaos. There have been moments this season where Draymond has given the Warriors more headaches than solutions. Swapping him for Anthony Davis, strictly from a basketball standpoint today, would be a massive upgrade. It would address multiple weaknesses at once: size, interior defense, rebounding, and playoff versatility. Then there's Jimmy Butler, a proven playoff performer, a warrior by mentality. But he is also the newest of the veteran core. If someone has to be the odd man out, logic says it's the player who arrived last. Butler brings toughness and shot-making, but pairing Curry with an elite big like Anthony Davis may be a cleaner, more sustainable fit in a brutal Western Conference full of size and athleticism. What matters most is this: the Warriors cannot afford to rest on their legacy anymore. The dynasty years are over. Klay Thompson is gone. The historic trio has already been broken up. Pretending otherwise only delays the inevitable. This franchise has always been at its best when it embraces boldness, when it zigged while others zagged, when it took risks that changed the league. This is another one of those moments. Rolling the dice on Anthony Davis is not about guaranteeing a championship. There are no guarantees in this league. It's about giving Stephen Curry a real chance. It's about honoring what he's meant to this organization. It's about refusing to fade quietly into mediocrity while one of the greatest players of all time is still wearing a Warriors jersey. And here's the part Warriors fans need to hear. Even discussing a move of this magnitude shows intent. It shows the front office understands the stakes. It shows they are not content with 8th place. Whether the Anthony Davis deal happens or not, Golden State is clearly preparing to make a defining move before the trade deadline. Standing pat is no longer an option. This team still has the culture, it still has the leadership, it still has Stephen Curry. Add the right piece and everything changes. The West is brutal, but no team wants to see a locked-in Curry paired with a dominant two-way big in a playoff series. That combination alone restores fear, relevance, and belief. So, Warriors fans, this is the moment. Do you swing big and chase one last title run, or do you protect the future and risk wasting the present? The franchise owes Steph Curry the fight. It owes him ambition. And if that means making the boldest trade of this era, then so be it. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you trade a veteran star for Anthony Davis? Would you take that risk to maximize Curry's final prime years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you believe the Warriors should go all in. And make sure you're subscribed to Warriors Nation News so you don't miss any updates as the trade deadline approaches.